Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for cash tags. For that, let's bring in our next guest. That's going to be Megan Brantley, VP of Research at LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Megan.
Thanks for having me, guys. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. I think it's not a happy Friday for Nvidia investors over the last couple of months. The stock's pulled back 28% from those all-time highs. Megan, you know, we've talked with you guys at length about Nvidia before. You guys are always pretty positive. You know, all these big tech companies are saying that they're investing in all the AI infrastructure. Nvidia takes advantage of that, but it seems like maybe investors are looking at this stock and this company that maybe the best days are over for Nvidia, because that's the way it's been trading.
Yeah, you know, we have talked a lot about Nvidia in the past, and we were excited about Nvidia then. We are definitely excited about it now as it trades at these lower levels. And we see a lot of this being driven by some fear and uncertainty regarding the impact of potential trade policies and just this rate of sustained growth. I think that Nvidia has performed so well, it's natural for investors to say, okay, how much can this growth keep going at this pace? And at what point is this overvalued? So at these levels, we can look at things, and the places that we can look for Nvidia are overall consumer demand. So are people continuing to talk about Nvidia and its products, specifically its Blackwell line, at a higher rate? And are they visiting sites and showing signs of forward-looking interest for Nvidia? And so far, at least in our metrics, they are. We see Nvidia web visits up by about 22% year over year. And this is actually accelerating if you look at this on a 30-day moving average versus a 90-day moving average. And what's impressive about this, for us, this is just a sign of momentum. So for us, this tells us that demand is continuing to outpace that supply. We look at this too, and what's crazy is that Nvidia already has a really significant mind share and market share versus other players in this field, yet its growth rate remains the highest. It is nice to see AMD start to gain some traction there as well when it comes to consumer interest, but Nvidia is already the largest player in the game, and it's just extending its lead. And so I think as an investor, that's really powerful to know that this is the best of breed, and at least on our end, you know, the chatter and discussions related to its products continues to grow.
You know, Megan, everyone keeps waiting for the drop off, right? We've seen it Tom and I have seen it in AOL and in that, and we've seen it lately in streaming. Right? And now everyone considers this the next bubble in AI. But bubbles, I mean, what inning are we in, Megan, is what people want to know, right? Are we late? Because the numbers putting out in CapEx spending, and here they are, projected $204 billion in CapEx spending with a net income of $113 billion from that CapEx spending, which we all have a pretty good idea that Nvidia is going to be the recipient of a lion's share of that. So, but yet, you know, there's naysayers out there, and there's obviously the stock is significantly off its recent highs. And are we going to look back 6 months from now? How are we going to view this period of softness, not in just in Nvidia, but in the overall market? How are we going to see this in 6 months? Was it just a massive buying opportunity? What was it just a big, you know, collection and people getting out? Or is this the obvious? Remember, in streaming, all the streamers sold off, but Netflix turned out to be a screaming buy when it sold off with the other streamers. What do you guys think? What does your data say about Nvidia? And the simpler question is, what inning are we in, Megan?
You know, I wish I had a crystal ball to go forward 6 months and be able to make the exact right call here, right? Wouldn't that be amazing? But the way that we look at this, I love the analogy that you used with Netflix and its best of breed, because Nvidia reminds me of the Netflix of this space. This is a company that's proven it's agile. It's able to shift up product and innovate to meet consumer demand where that demand is needed. I think if you look at just the overall growth and strength of its data center products, that's now driving 91% of its revenue. 2 years ago, it was 60%. So this is a company that can pivot and lean into areas of demand where necessary, and it's driving all of the technology innovations that we see when we talk about AI at large. I know the company itself has said that next-gen AI models will require millions of times the current compute power that is currently being used. And so obviously the company itself is optimistic, but you can look at some of the CapEx spend, like you mentioned, when we look at these big tech players from Meta to Alphabet to Microsoft, and we continue to see these players increase their CapEx spend pretty significantly even from last year. So I think NVIDIA is really well positioned to take advantage of this. We still think it's fairly early. We're not one of the naysayers in that camp that say that this bubble is bursting. But I think that it is going to be interesting to see how this uncertainty and fear at large and this pullback that we're witnessing right now in the market, how long this lasts. As terms of a new potential catalyst for NVIDIA, I know that there's an investor conference coming up in about 10 days that could spark some interest. There could be some updates on demand and product innovations, and it will certainly continue to dominate the news cycle. But for us at large, we see NVIDIA as a best of breed in AI, and we like that it is continuing to expand its consumer mind share, and we'll just be continuing to listen to these players who are gobbling up its GPUs as fast as they can to see how long this growth can sustain.
Yeah, we'll continue to watch this story because it's below some key support levels. All right, great stuff, great data as always. Megan, have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. You too.
All right, that's Megan Brantley, VP of Research.